Hi, this is Joyce Polino Crane. I'm the news director at Westford Cat, and I'm here today with two librarians from the JV Fletcher Library. They have prepared a holiday gift guide of books for you, and they've brought them to the studio today. Christina Liedberg is head of Library Information Services. Did I get that right?
You did.
And Mainland Kelly is a librarian's associate. And welcome to the studio today, ladies.
Thank you so much for having us.
Love your bright red holiday colors. You look so good.
We try.
And you can't see what Christina's wearing, but she's got red socks on with little cats in honor of Westford Cat.
Yes.
Sort of.
Right.
So I'm going to throw it to you, Christina, and let you tell us about a couple of the books that you are recommending for the holidays for gifts for loved ones.
Sure. So one of our favorite things to do at the library is to recommend books to people. And we think that at Christmas time especially, or Hanukkah, the best books, the best presents are books. And every year we try to pull together some books from the past year that we've enjoyed and that have been popular to recommend to our patrons. And the first one that I have here is called Make Your Bed. And it's written by Admiral William McRaven from the U.S. Navy. He's a retired admiral who gave a commencement speech at the University of Texas. And he based his speech, it was sort of 10 lessons about life that he based on his Navy SEAL training. And it's a fun book, it's motivational, it's not very long. It would be a great book for someone who's just graduating from college. And it just gives you sort of tips about life that he relates to his Navy SEAL training, such as make your bed first thing in the morning, and that just makes you feel accomplished. Things such as you never want to paddle alone, don't quit, don't rely on other people, and it's just sort of 10 lessons for life summarized up kind of nicely with his Navy SEAL training. It's a feel-good book.
I'm going to have to get my hands on that.
Yes.
I actually have that same philosophy that if I make my bed in the morning, everything else will fall into place.
And he basically says, make your bed and you'll change the world.
Yeah.
And that's how it starts, with little things. So that's one of my first recommendations.
Okay, very cool. What's the next one?
The next one, I always like to have a Christmas book at Christmas. And some of them I think are a little on the sappy side, but Frederick Bachman is very popular right now. He has a novel out called Beartown, which has been called by many people the best novel of 2017.
Oh, wow.
And he wrote this book, The Deal of a Lifetime. And it's about a father who wasn't the best father in the world. He's divorced with a grown-up son, and he spent most of his time making money and kind of ignoring his family, letting down his child. And he's dying. And he has the choice of giving up his life for someone else's so that someone else can live. But there's a caveat that if he gives up his life, he gives up his past too, so his son will never have known him. And it's written in letter format, so he starts off writing a letter to his son who's not going to remember him after Christmas Eve.
So who gives him this deal?
He's given this deal by a woman wearing gray flannel, who when he looks back through his life at pictures, every time someone dies, she's sort of there in the background holding a folder.
Oh,
Yeah.
so there's some kind of little mystery there.
There's a little mystery there.
Oh.
Yes. And we don't know. I mean, it's asked the question as a parent, would you do this? Would you give your life for someone else's, even if it meant the ones you loved would never remember you? And we're not really sure how it's going to end. So it's a good book.
That is a good book.
Yeah.
That's a good
It's a nice
premise.
Christmas story.
Yeah.
Beautiful cover, too.
Yeah. Yes, it does have a beautiful cover.
And I also like the size of the little books for some reason. They just could slip inside a purse, or a bag maybe, or it just looks like it's portable.
It's very portable, and for someone who maybe has time constraints, this one and Make Your Bed are nice, quick little reads.
Yeah, like Tuesdays with Maury, that size of that book size, which was a great book.
It's important to have feel-good books, especially at this time of the year, I think.
So Maylene, you've got 3 books as compared to Christina's huge stack here. So
This is a perfect segue, actually, because this is my feel-good book, The Story of Arthur Truelove. It's a short story by one of my favorite authors, Elizabeth Berg. It's basically about an elderly man who lost his wife, and he spends his day in his rose garden feeding his cat, and every day at lunch he brings his lunch and he sits at his wife's graveside. So one day he sees this young girl in the cemetery, wondering why she's not in school. So he befriends her and they start talking, and she's being bullied at school, so she doesn't want to go to school, so she spends her days with Arthur at home. So she actually named him True Love. That wasn't his real name, but because he was loving to her, so he pretty much took her under his wing, and so they became friends, and she pretty much helped him through his grief, and he helped her through friendship. It's a beautiful gift.
Oh, I love that.
It's a beautiful. It's if you've ever read One in a Million Boy by Monica Wood, it's similar to that. It's an elderly woman with a young child, and they both kind of save each other from you know, their sorrows. And
that's definitely on my list.
It's
I
really,
like her other books too.
I love.
Yeah.
It's totally different than what she writes, but this is. I think it came out on purpose for Christmas.
Yeah.
It's one of those. It's a very affirming story.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
Perfectly timed.
Yes.
That's nice. Okay, Christina, what do you got there?
So I also have this book, and I have to confess, I haven't read it yet. It's called The Hello Girls. It's
What made you choose
nonfiction. Well, 2 historians in town have recommended it to me, and I'm hoping to convince my book group to read it this year.
Can we say who the 2 historians were?
Sure, Marilyn Day and Bob Oliphant.
Okay.
Have both recommended this book, and it's a true story. It's nonfiction, so it's about World War I and about 300 women who were sworn into the army as the Hello Girls, and basically what they did, they operated the telephone system, the telephone operating system, the switchboards.
Switchboard.
Yes, because during the war, what the army realized was that the only way they could get communication sometimes down into the foxholes and into the trenches was by using the switchboard. So they needed experts in, with the switchboards, and these women were the experts.
So this is a real.
This is a
really
true
happened?
story. This really happened, and
never heard of this.
Many people have not, me included. And these women, like I said, they took the oath. They were sworn into the army. They were sent over to Europe. Some of them in France were bombed, so they were really, out there working hard for the army and doing their part. And they weren't always treated well. Some men didn't like the idea that these women were there. Some were accepting of it. But after the war ended, they were sent home and they were just dismissed. They weren't given any benefits. They weren't recognized for what they did. And these women spent the next 79 years, not 79 years, they spent years and years fighting this. In 1979, they were finally recognized for their job and what they did, and they finally earned benefits. Of course, by then, many of them had already passed away. But this is written by Elizabeth Cobbs, and she did a really nice job, from what I hear, and the reviews say the same thing. She looked at interviews and journals and spoke with some of the women that are still alive and compiled their stories. It sounds fabulous.
So it's not a novel then. It's not a
nope.
fiction
It's a true
novel.
story. It's nonfiction.
Okay.
Yep. The Hello Girls, and it's a piece of history that I can't wait to learn more about.
That's one I would definitely read.
Yeah.
I'd love that.
Hopefully, my book group is watching, so they know that we're going to pick this.
So let's see. You've got an Alice Hoffman book there.
I do. Alice Hoffman is one of my favorite authors, and this is on the New York Times bestseller list right now too. For those of you who read Practical Magic, which was also made into a movie with Sandra Bullock, a lot of her books deal with their families they are flawed, but they also have a touch of magical realism. This family, the Owens family, there's three children, and their family has been known to have witchcraft. Since the 1600s, it's been in their family. But their mother, Fanny Owens, is in denial of that, and she doesn't want her kids practicing witchcraft or to have anything to do with magic. She doesn't want them to realize that they might have special gifts. But over time, then they're living in New York City, over time they start to see that they can do things that their friends can't do, and they start to realize that their mother can do something sometimes that they can't do. And they haven't quite figured it out because their father is not, he's not an Owens, he's not part of that family. And what happens is that as they start to sort of figure out their gifts, their Aunt Isabel, this elderly aunt who lives on the North Shore in Massachusetts, asks that they come for a visit, and their mother knows what that means. It means the family secrets will be revealed, and they'll start to learn that their gifts. But I don't know how to explain it, but her characters are very real, even though they have some magical power too. But they sort of struggle with it because they realize it's a curse and a blessing. And the family actually has a curse that they'll never fall in love, that they can never fall in love. And they have to sort of try to find ways to escape that their whole life. It's really good. And this is, so Practical Magic is about the 3 Owens children. No, I'm sorry, Practical Magic is about the 2 aunts that the characters in this book grow up to become, which I know sounds funny. This is actually a prequel to Practical Magic. I'm not explaining that very well, but.
So it's the children that will never fall in love. They're the ones that are cursed, not the parents?
So yeah, so you kind of learn about Fanny's marriage too throughout this book. If they ever fall in love, that person will be cursed. That person will be doomed. So they try not to fall in love their whole lives.
But the mother got married.
She did, but love and marriage don't always go hand in hand, sadly. So you learn a lot in the book as it goes on, and you learn a lot about the Owens women. It's the women, although there's a son in here too. But the 3 children, there's two daughters and a son. But it's primarily the women and the aunts who uphold the family secrets and help them to understand their past.
Boy, does that sound complicated?
It's complicated, but it's there. Once I start reading her books, I cannot put them down. I love Practical Magic, and I was so excited when this came out, and it's doing really well. So I think a lot of other people are excited too.
What else did Alice Hoffman write? I know I've read some of her stuff.
She's read a lot. Faithful, The Marriage of Opposites, Museum of Extraordinary Things, The Dove Keepers. She's also written some young adult books, and I believe this is going to be optioned to be a movie as well.
Oh.
Yeah, Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock were in Practical Magic, the movie, which
right.
more people know about the movie than the book.
Yes.
I really encourage you to read the book too. It's much better than the movie. But yeah, that's a really good one too.
Okay, so that's Alice Hoffman. So Mainland, your next book?
Okay, another segue. Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. Reese Witherspoon actually bought the movie rights for this one. So it is
She
going to be
has a book club too.
exciting.
That's really popular online.
Yes, a debut author. And Eleanor Oliphant is not completely fine. She's socially inept. She's isolated. She's physically and emotionally scarred. She spends her days at the office working. She's not friends with anybody. Goes home at night and drinks vodka out of coffee mugs. And then all of a sudden, a new IT person comes in, a guy, who befriends Eleanor. And they go on a journey together where he actually pulls out from her heart and her soul her horrific past. But it's a funny, lighthearted story. It's very popular, not a lot of marketing.
But everyone's
it's all word of
asking
mouth.
for it now.
Everyone's asking for it.
It seems to resonate with a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah. I highly recommend it. It's a feel-good story.
I would definitely read that one too.
And she's a heroine. I mean, I had a patron come in one day and said, I have to recommend a book to you, and I had already read it. She said, I'm buying it for all my friends because she said, she's me. She blurts things out that are inappropriate because she has no social filter. But it's actually a nice, kind friendship, story about friendship.
Yeah, and it's funny.
And it's funny.
I love books that make you laugh out loud.
Yeah, and it's funny. And when she's drinking her vodka, I mean, it's funny, you know, when she's I'll just pour a little more, and then all of a sudden the vodka. But that's how she drowned in her sorrows. But
that's on my desk to go home right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. I love it. This is actually my book. I own it.
Oh boy! So you brought your own copy here.
Yes.
Wow.
You know, if a librarian buys a book, it's gotta be good.
Actually, that one's an advanced reader's copy. I got.
Oh yeah. So Mainland gets advanced copies.
Because you're an avid reader.
Yes.
Apparently. Yeah.
And she recommends books.
A lot. Yeah.
And she has following on Twitter too.
Yeah, I'm going to connect with you.
Okay.
So I can get some good book tips.
Sure.
Mainland's an excellent person to ask about.
Do you want me to
books.
just finish with my because this one's a short.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. I don't know if you read Everything They Never Told You was her first novel. It was like if you've ever read Lovely Bones.
I did.
It was similar. It was similar to the story. Oh. This is her second novel, and she started it like she did her first one. She tells you right away what the tragedy is, and she works backwards.
Yeah.
So on this one, it's who lit the fires and why. So you have to read the story. It wouldn't work if she did it the opposite way, because I think the story would be boring, because they're not really telling you what's going on. But now we know that we're looking for who lit the fires. So basically, it's a small town in Ohio, Shaker Heights, and it's a regular suburb, a nice, quiet suburb, and it delves into the lives of the Richardsons, who were mother, father, and 3 children, and a non-traditional mother-daughter move in next door to them. And they become entwined in each other's lives, and everything is not what it seems to be. And the town starts to get involved when one of the people in the town decide to adopt a non-white American baby. And this is a small suburbia town kind of thing. So so the town starts getting riled up about racial tensions, and all of a sudden fires start.
People are taking different sides.
People are taking different sides, and again, this was just like our previous one, is really, really good read. It's recommended. I think this was Goodreads' pick of the year.
Yes.
Pick of 2016. Everyone, I think 39,000 people voted for this one.
Well, that's
so it's a really good read. She's a really good writer.
Yeah.
And she's from around here, I believe. Yeah. Yeah, I really love this one. This was right.
That does sound very interesting.
Yes.
Okay, so we have about 7 minutes left, and we've got how many books to get through?
We have 4 books.
Okay.
We have 4 books. These are books that have been recommended by our children's librarians. Diary of a Wimpy Kid series. Many kids know this book, the series. He's so funny. Greg Heffley, the Heffleys, he's always getting into mischief. And this one is actually a sort of a holiday book. It's called The Getaway. And the Heffleys decide that they're going to get out of town for the holidays and take a break, and they're going to go to some tropical paradise, but everything starts to go wrong. Someone gets sick with stomach viruses, there's venomous animals, there's all kinds of craziness going on. So it's a really funny book, as all of the other ones are, and you can't help but fall in love with Greg and his family. So that's just a fun book, and most kids know this series, so if they got this for Christmas, I think they'd be pretty happy.
And what ages is it for?
This I would say probably 8 to 12. Yeah,
Okay,
would you say
perfect.
so too? Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And then these are 2 picture books that were recommended by Eleanor Pico, who also works in our children's department. Napastrophe is about a rabbit named Lucy, who, like most toddlers, is always proclaiming, "I'm not tired, I don't need a nap. I'm not tired, I don't need to go to bed." So her parents say, "Fine, we won't let you take a nap today, you cannot take a nap." And she goes shopping with her father, and she starts to just fall apart. And she's trying not to admit it to herself or to anyone else, but as the day goes on, she gets more and more tired, and she has a complete breakdown and proclaims that it is a napastrophe that she's having. And it's just funny. The illustrations are really nice. It's a fun little book.
It's adorable, and it sounds like every mother's lesson for their little toddler.
Yes, we've all been there.
We've all been there.
We've all been there. But it's nice. Picture books at Christmas are just wonderful. They're wonderful all year long too, but it's fun to get a picture book for Christmas. And then we have the book She Persisted, which is actually written by Chelsea Clinton, and it profiles 13 American women over time who persisted and managed to change the world. We have Harriet Tubman, Sally Ride, Oprah Winfrey, Helen Keller, just to name a few. And they just have little short stories about them. But the illustrations, too, are just gorgeous.
It's a beautiful book.
It's a really beautiful book.
Yeah.
And my daughters, who are age 7 and 9, both read it for me. I wanted their opinions, and they loved it. So it's a quick book, and it stimulates. Now they want to know more about these women.
Yeah.
So it's a nice educational book as well.
And so show us how she got her mother in there without actually listing her mother.
So Chelsea did sneak her mother in. I think she didn't want to be biased and put her mother as one of the 13 women. But in the beginning of the book, we see these girls and boys going through a museum, and there's Hillary in her red suit.
That is Hillary Clinton
you can't mistake her for anyone else. Yes. And then lots of people love to get cookbooks for Christmas. Lots of people love cookbooks. It's one of our most popular section in the library, is the cookbook section.
Definitely.
Yes.
Always nice to get a cookbook.
It is. And Ree Drummond is one of my favorite cookbook authors. She has a Food Network show. She's written many books, cookbooks, and this is her latest one. It's called Come and Get It. and it's all quick and easy recipes. She has the pan sheet suppers, her favorite meals in under 20 minutes. There's a great Parmesan chicken recipe in here that my girls and I made in 30 minutes, and they loved it. And if you can get kids to eat it, you know it's good.
Sounds like you put your girls to work a lot.
I do, but they like to read, thank goodness, because they have to. They have to with me at home. But we were talking about this earlier. It's such a beautiful book. Her books, her photographs. She lives on a ranch in Oklahoma with her 4 children and lots of animals. And even if you don't like to cook, just looking through here, and she's funny too.
Yeah. So does she take the photos, or is that
no,
someone else?
She doesn't take the photos, but you learn, like, she's a picture, her dogs are in here, their cattle, the cats, the kids.
I love when people mix cooking with the story of their lives.
Yes. Yeah.
Like Nora Ephron did that in Heartburn, which was one of my favorite books ever. But she, intermingled recipes for, making whatever dinner or dessert. And she talked about, in that chapter was whatever was going on with her life in that chapter. So this is a very cool idea.
One of my favorite cookbooks is Bridges of Madison County.
Oh, yeah.
Came out with a cookbook.
Oh.
And all the recipes she made in the movie is in the cookbook.
Oh, that's fun.
It was fun.
It's great when they do recipes and books together.
I actually wrote for the Boston Globe's food section sometimes, and one of the requirements was that if you're going to write about, how to make something, you had to actually make it in your kitchen. So that was, it was a time-consuming assignment.
Well, that's a true test. That's a true test.
But
I look at recipes, and if they have too many ingredients, I go, nope.
Yeah.
So this was the perfect cookbook for me.
Yeah, very nice.
Quick and easy is good.
So, Mainland, do you have a favorite book author?
I forgot I was going to talk about that one book, the
there's
new thriller
one
coming
out.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Okay,
Could
so
I
this
mention that?
Yes,
A.J. Finn,
please.
she's another debut novelist. It's called The Woman in the Window, and it's a reimagining of Rear Window. Woman is agoraphobic, can't leave the house. She spends the day, again, drinking Merlot, another character, another unreliable character, and she spies on her neighbors through her camera. She witnesses a murder.
Oh, okay, yeah,
she
just like in the Hitchcock movie.
Right.
Yeah.
She witnesses a murder, and then when she calls the police, everything unravels. Is it did she imagine it? Is it true? Who's in control? Who's in danger? And it was a heart pumping until the end, until you figure, oops, I just hit my microphone. until the end. So it's a thriller, like Girl on the Train or Gone Girl. So it's going to be huge.
And do we know when in 2018? Is it
January?
Okay, so we don't have to wait too long.
Not too long. You can pre-order it
on Amazon
or at the library.
Or at the library. Or your local bookstore.
Yeah, exactly.
And there are a few left,
Yeah.
as in the Andover bookstore. And
that's a nice one.
I'm trying to think of another one. The Willow bookstore in Acton is
closed.
gone.
Yeah, sadly.
That was very sad for me to see.
Yeah.
But there are a few still left. So, and there's the Harvard Coop. So we have just 30 seconds left. What do you guys want to tell the town?
We also have some holiday programs coming up. We have a holiday harp concert coming up on December 21st. That's at 7 o'clock at the library. On December 14th, we have a children's concert, a children's holiday concert with Steve Blunt. That's going to be at 10:30.
That sounds like fun. I
Yes,
saw that. Yeah.
He's very popular with the kids. And we also have on December 28th, we have miniature golf in the library, and that's sponsored by the KDK Foundation. And I believe it's from 11 to 3. You can come and play miniature golf in the library. And we've had that before. It's really fun for families to come in.
Big crowd, big crowd.
Thank you so much. So we're going to end here, and I wish you happy holidays. For Westford Cat News, this is Joyce Polino Crane. Have a great day.